From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest. But for us, it's different.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome. BigWaveAstro, back again. I think, what is this, our third or fourth episode? Transmission.
This is, I think, the fourth.
Is it our fourth already?
I think the fourth transmission.
Yeah.
I want to say fourth. Yeah, I'll say fourth. That sounds correct.
Well, you've invited a special guest. Do you want to introduce our...
Yeah, I'll give a quick intro. Raymond is a friend of mine for about 7 years now, and he's into Vedic astrology.
Right.
And we have really, really deep conversations about life and philosophy, all types of stuff. And he is like a master when it comes to learning and even teaching certain tactics when it comes to astrology and just the way he implements the Vedic techniques and the nakshatras. It's all very, it's breathtaking, actually, right? And we do tropical. And it's the same, in a way, what I can say is if truth was a diamond, right? You're looking at all these different angles, different perspectives, different windows. You're still looking at truth. It's just different perspectives, different field of vision. And like, for instance, I think when it comes to tropical, we are 24 degrees ahead of the Vedic sidereal, 24 degrees ahead. And when it comes to tropical, we are based off the solar ecliptic, the tropical ecliptic, if you will. And we are independent of the fixed stars. However, sidereal and Vedic is based off the literal constellation placements, as opposed to tropical, which is based off of the movement of the ecliptic, which is a laser sine wave, like the Riverside app, the sine wave, right? Mm-hmm. Or a wave that also cuts through everything. Now, what I wanted to say was, so there's a 24-degree difference. Now, we both use 30-degree implements. There's something called true sidereal. True sidereal is the actual literal size of like Virgo and Pisces, which are 50-something degrees, and Scorpio and Libra and Sag are like 10 degrees. And Ophiuchus, true sidereal also has Ophiuchus on there, which is like 5 degrees, because Ophiuchus's foot is also touching the ecliptic. However, so when it comes to that, there's a Taurus field. The sun in Cancer, the sun in Capricorn, and the sun in Libra and Aries moves like this. There's an equator. So basically, every beginning of Aries and every beginning of Libra, there's 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of nighttime in the tropical scale, on the tropical model. So the second March 21st happens, 6 a.m., we have sunrise. 6 p.m., the sun sets. Same thing with Libra. Beginning of Libra, 6 a.m., sun rises, 6 p.m., sun sets. Beginning of summer, June 21st, the sun's at the very top in Cancer, can't get no higher. It's the crab, it's walking sideways for 3 days. And then when the sun is in Capricorn, it can't get any lower. The sun is dead for 3 days before he's risen again, risen savior. So December 21st to December 25th, the sun is also at the very bottom. It can't get any lower in Capricorn. Capricorn's down and out, like a pyramid, right? So the top spins like that, and then the bottom, it goes wider, down and out, while Aries and Libra has an equatorial, equidistant sun and moon. It's a light show, a dance of sun and moon. Whatever you want to say, Raymond, the floor is yours.
Can you guys hear me?
A little bit. I hear you good, loud and clear.
All right. I'm a friend of Daniel's. We met online years ago, back in 2016, part of the Flat Earth movement, and we're good friends. And we share ideas all the time, sharing knowledge. Daniel, he researches what he does, and I do what I do, and we come together, and we have great conversations. And I focus on the Vedic side of things. Both sides are equally correct. It's like Daniel said, with the different perspective. I like to put it in a different way, like we're both in a baseball field, in a stadium, and you're in one section in the front, I'm in the other section on the other side, you're going to see the play differently than me, but we're both saying the correct thing. I go about it one way, and that's just how there's different timekeeping systems. There's the Chinese system. There are others that have came and gone. So the Vedic is the oldest, and is based off of the path of the moon instead of the sun. And there are 27 nakshatras, and the moon each night passes through one set of stars or nakshatra. So it takes the moon approximately 28 days to go through all 12 signs. So within the 12 signs, you have the 27 nakshatras, or the lunar mansions. So, and each nakshatra has its own significance and meaning and logic and rulership. And there's a whole scheme associated with the nakshatras alone. And the Vedic system does incorporate the signs as well. It's very important, especially when dividing the houses and everything else, and the rulership and all that. They just, as you guys know, is a 24-degree difference. At one point, there was no difference. So, and the reason I'm not an authority on this information, or they haven't done enough research, but there was a time when we had a cataclysm and the sky alignment changed, and that's what it is. But there was a time when it was 0 degrees lined up in both systems. But both systems are still correct. You just have to utilize the techniques for those systems, and you'll do fine in either system.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good with the Vedic. I read a lot of people's charts, people I come across, throughout the day at work, at life, and I say a lot of stuff, and I'm always correct. Everything I say, they're very amazed by me.
Raymond, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What philosophically, spiritually, however you want to look at it, from the Vedic system's perspective, what is the sun is symbol for our nature, a part of our nature, our sun. The sun symbol, or the moon symbol is symbolic for a part of our nature. What is your understanding? Because I have my understanding, the way I put it, which I think kind of overlaps with Vedic a little bit, is the sun is our spirit or Atman portal, and the moon is like our soul, which is like an emotional, informational orb thing, like that travels from lifetime to lifetime. And so we have like a part of our identity is our soul, what I call the queen in our kingdom. And then we have the king, the solar king, which is our spirit or Atman king. That is literally a kind of a fiber optic portal to nirvana or heaven. I'm being simplistic. So what's your understanding philosophically and spiritually from the Vedic system about what does the sun represent? What does the moon represent?
In the Vedic system, the sun is the soul, is the Atma. The moon, the sun is the light. In the physical world, light. In the physical world, without the sun, we cannot see. The sun shows us. So the sun is what we see in ourselves, how we see ourselves. It's our personality. So it's our identification. The sun shows you. So, the sun is your ID. It's what shows you who you are, is your ID. The moon is your mind, is the most private part of you, which is your thoughts. Only you can know your thoughts. That is the most private thing. So the moon represents all things private to you, like your home life, your mind, and etc. And then the other planets represent other aspects of you. Mercury represents the manner in which you communicate, your nervous system, how you go about doing things. Mercury. Mars is your energy, the blood, the vitality. Venus is how you relate to things. Jupiter is your understanding of things, your knowledge of etc. Rahu is the obsession of your soul. What the soul is obsessed with in life is Rahu, the most inexperienced part.
Can I stop you with Rahu for a second?
Sure.
Is there a correlation that Rahu, the north node,
Them sirens are chanting.
Sorry, yeah,
The sirens.
that's a sign right there from Rahu. Isn't it true
Yeah.
that
That's me. Sorry.
Rahu is, this is kind of an evolutionary astrology approach, but Rahu is a signifier of our North Node growth in Dharma or ascension direction, or soul evolutionary trajectory, and that the K2 is more of our karma or past that we're integrating. Does that overlap at all with your understanding?
That's exactly what it is. K2 is our past life experience, all the karmas that we've learned in the past that we bring with us in this life. So the K2 position in the birth chart, right away, it shows me what you're already good at, that you don't even have to try. That the part of the area of life where you do things different from everyone, but you know exactly what you're doing. You don't even have to learn much about it. Rahu shows me where you make mistakes, where the childish part of your soul, but you have to go through Rahu in order to mature.
Yeah,
So,
it's like a trial and error process.
Rahu is not the only thing that your soul you're here for. The Rahu position is not the only thing. There are other aspects. You have to look at the Atmakaraka.
Atmakaraka.
The planet with
I love that word.
the planet with the highest degrees in the chart. The placement of that planet will show a lot of struggle. You have to struggle in that part of life. You have to go through.
By the way, sorry to cut you off, Raymond. I think I'm a Venus Atmakaraka, and I think Jeremy's a Mars Atmakaraka.
I have to triple check on that. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm Venus. Yeah,
I can
especially
tell you
your highest degree. Your highest degree in Vedic would be, for me, it's Venus. I know that. And so either way, whether it's tropical or Vedic, it's third house. I'm a third house Venus.
Okay, I have to check. Check. I'll check for you again, because I look at some charts. I forget everything.
Raymond, my imagery for Rahu is like a volcano with a dragon that lives inside, and we've got to like go towards the volcano with the dragon and learn how to, I guess, integrate.
Yeah.
I'll give you the
power,
quick story.
Harness it with grace. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll give you the quick story in the Vedic tradition of how Rahu was how Rahu was created. So, the planets were lined up I'm giving the short version. They were all lined up to receive the nectar of immortality. They were all lined up in the order that you would think: the sun and the moon and all this, in the order. So the moon and the sun. Rahu was originally was a very cunning demon. It took the form of it disguised itself as like one of the planets, and it got in between the sun and moon, and it was just beguiling everyone. And then as it was about to receive the one drop of the nectar of immortality, it was discovered that that was an imposter, and Vishnu, using its famed weapon, the disc, which what we call the ecliptic, it's like the disc, uses it to chop Rahu's head in half, that demon's head in half. But at the same time that his head was chopped off, it received the nectar of immortality, so it became immortal, but it was chopped in half at the same time. So K2 became the body with the headless body. So K2 already knows everything. And K2 has no hunger. So Rahu has no body, so it's infinitely hungry. So and it can never be satiated. And it can never be satiated. Wherever Rahu is in your chart, that area of life will never satisfy. You will always want more and more. You have to learn how to deal with it. Is how you manage it. K2,
your drive. Right.
K2 is like your comfort zone. When things are going bad in life, go to where your K2 is so you can regroup, and then you can head out again to where the Rahu is. And then you can know when in life, using Vedic astrology, the dasha period, the planetary period cycle, and other dasha cycles, when these things occur. When these issues arise.
That would be the Mahadasha, right?
You look at the Maha and the Antra, the second level, and you compare the planets and their positions to each other in the chart, and that'll tell you what kind of experience you're going to get for that time. And the Mahadasha periods, they're long periods, because it's like there are only 9 periods, the 7 planets and Rahu Ketu. but they're not. So Venus period is I believe is a 20-year period, and each planet has their own unique period. But the Antardasha periods are shorter. They're 3-year periods, and then but you're still under the main period, and and then it goes into sub levels. And I'll get into that maybe later on.
Yeah,
I
like
use
different
that technique
padas.
in my research for sports prediction. But
Hey,
that's another.
Raymond, go ahead, and that's a good juncture there. Tell us about that,
Segue.
because I was hearing about your
Yeah,
innovation development system regarding Vedic astrology, I think, in sports betting. Am I correct? Is that correct?
Baseball, yeah.
well, if you want to use it for
Baseball.
betting, any sport, it doesn't matter.
Any sport, yeah.
As long as you have a favorite and an underdog, that's what you need. You can't use the techniques that I use for like a racing, like a horse race, because there's so many different. You need just two competitors and a favorite and versus an underdog. Excuse me, not the home team. The favorite gets the ascendant always. The ascendant goes to the favorite. The underdog gets the descendant, the seventh house cusp. So, and
Right.
then using Vedic astrology, I use the nakshatra sublords of those house cusps, not the nakshatra rulers. The nakshatra sub rulers is going a little deeper.
It's
And
fractals.
You're looking at an event that's only 2.5 hours long, so I need to go in very sensitive in as far as time and space. So the exact second it matters with the techniques that I use. The exact second. So I need to go. I do go to the events. For the last 2 years, I've been using the time that I get from ESPN or the internet, and I've later realized that that's too inaccurate. So in more recent time, I started in the beginning of May, I started going to the games, the Yankee and Mets home games, just to log that first pitch. I want that exact second. So that's what I do. I get the exact second, and then I leave. I don't stay for the game. I have no interest in the game. I just want the exact second. I go home, I go to my software, and I see I've been using the same techniques that I've been playing with the last 2 years. I just apply it now with the exact time, and it's been deadly accurate. It's unbelievable. I see the patterns. I see why the favorite loses, because you want to compare the charts of games where the favorite wins versus charts of games where the favorite loses, and you look at the criteria. What does it take for the favorite to lose? And I see the same pattern. The dasha lord, the sub. I go down to the 6th level. The most like it changes on hourly basis. These rulers. So I go to that level, and then I use a couple of other techniques, and I'm gonna go into that later on. I'm gonna teach everyone how to do it.
Let's get.
There's a lot of trial. There's a lot of.
Let's not get into specifics. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah.
This tells us about the nature of reality. Is it a simulation? Are you using astrology to decode the simulation nearly in real time in order to understand the patterning, the coding? Is that basically, it sounds like what you're doing, you found an inlet there.
Well, there are books written on this. I learned from, if you just go on YouTube, you type in Simon Cherkowski. He's a very good Vedic astrologer, and he has a book, Sports Betting with Vedic Astrology. It's on Amazon.
Oh,
and he has a lot of videos out there. You can watch his video. He teaches the techniques. But I don't use all of his techniques. I tried it, and he never used the correct time anyway. And he uses techniques that are, my techniques are more precise. But I learned a lot of fundamentals from him, and he's good to check out. And you'll learn a lot of Vedic in general, astrology in general, from him. He's excellent. There are a lot of people I listen to. But as far as your question goes, with yes, everything is a simulation. I believe we live inside of technology. I follow the Archaics model. For those that know who Archaics is, he's big right now on YouTube. I don't completely agree with everything he says, because he thinks you can shape your reality. I don't believe that. I believe that everything is predetermined. Every outcome is predetermined. If you think you're shaping your reality, that's just the script. That's just how the script played out.
I wanted to say something about that.
The script overrides everything.
Yeah, there is a script. What we know is the story, or the story, which is a Taurus field. Everything always comes down to the Taurus field. What we know as free will is the Christ, the Christos, the Kundalini, the serpent going up your spine, whatever the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, that would be the free will model. And it all comes down to Aries and Taurus. You mentioned the word volcano before. Volcano comes from the god Vulcan, right? Vulcan is Tubal Cain. Jeremy just disappeared. Anyway, so Vulcan is the same god as Hephaestus, is the same god as Tubal Cain. He's the one who forges.
Daniel, pause for a second.
Yeah.
Daniel, pause for a second. Your video's choppy and your audio's choppy. I don't know why.
I hear him fine. I hear him fine. Okay.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Like this?
Now it's choppy. Now it is.
Now he's saying it's
these
choppy,
headphones, bro. I'm telling you, I hate using headphones. I always get better reception when I don't use the headphones. I don't know why I even use the headphones.
Can you hear him? Can you hear him, Raymond?
Perfect. I hear everyone fine.
Yeah, okay, I always get better reception without the headphones.
Go ahead and continue, Daniel.
Okay, so when it comes down to what we know as free will, right? Free will and the story, or your destiny, fate, whatever you want to say. It comes down to Aries and Taurus, the 1-2. That's what we know. Aries and Taurus is your head, everything in the head, and then comes the body, Gemini, and everything down to the feet, Pisces. Now,
hey, Daniel, real quick. Your volume level almost doubled there. So if you could speak farther away from the phone, because our editing later is very limited. So yeah, just
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So, when it comes down to, like I was talking about, you said the word volcano before, and it got me thinking of Vulcan or Hephaestus or Tubal Cain. It's all the same archetype. Some people even say Prometheus and Lucifer, same archetype. Now, Hephaestus, Vulcan, and they're the ones who, the sirens are at it again, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. They're the
no, you know what stars are rising at the moment? I checked. You know what's rising at the moment? Mula Nakshatra, the stars of destruction.
Oh, Mula. Okay, I have planets there. I think my Venus, my Atmakaraka, and my Ketu and Uranus. They're all by there.
Yeah, that's the rift. That's the rift, right? The great.
Oh, sorry, my Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury.
Yeah,
my Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury are Mula. Okay. Yeah, I have that over there. Mula, the great rift. You're right.
Those are the stars of destruction.
And by the way, the rift would be this middle thing right here. Now, the way the skies move is always, like the summer, Cancer's up here, the sun goes around like this. You get down at the base, it goes wider and lower in Capricorn, and somewhere down the middle, the equator, Aries and Libra. Now, when it comes to Aries and Taurus, you can see them both in here. You can see, look at Aries, the symbol of Aries, you can see like that, the fountain, the free will. Aries is willpower. It's the sperms that go to the egg, Taurus being the egg. The very first thing that happens is we fight a war against our siblings, which is a shotgun. Boom, the sperm leaves, violent act, the blood mixes, Mars, and it goes looking for the Taurus or the Utaurus. Okay, so free will, or the Kundalini, Holy Spirit, the inertial plane. That's why Aries and Libra are always the inertial plane. Taurus would be right here, these two balls. And you can see in Taurus, there's a ball and another ball forming above it as the horns or the crescent. And so that would be over here, two balls. That's why you have two balls and a cane. All men have two balls and a cane. It's what makes generation. That's why Vulcan, Hephaestus, or Tubal Cain, they are all the god of the forge. They forged the metals and the weapons for the other gods. They're the smiths. They're known as the archetype of the smiths, Tubal Cain. The archetype of the smiths because they build, they're like the demiurges, they build and construct what we know as...
Are you saying this is evidence for free will, or how is this related to the free will?
What we know is free will. Okay, so Taurus, there's a story. That's your destiny point. And some people who have all their planets on the western end, on the western side, have more destiny-laden scenes in their story. Now, people that have a lot of first house or Aries have more free will or choice in their story. At least the power that we know, what we call free will, is the Holy Spirit, tapping into that, which is why most people are on NPC mode or going through their story, their Taurus. The word story, Taurus is in story. So you have the story that everyone's given, but only a select few can really harness the free will, which is the fountain, and it goes into the chalice.
So it's
right. The full moon is the cup full.
So it's house and specific. It's house specific, sign specific. That you're suggesting points to free will or conditioned existence, conditional click-clack.
Exactly, and the reason why free will does exist.
Because I want to put my theory. I want to put my theory on the table, but I want you to.
Okay, I'll end it right there. But the reason why free will, I do believe free will exists, is because the concept of destiny exists. Duh, it's a duality. This, if you can think of destiny and what that concept means, well, then free will exists by default. It's the opposite. It's that hemisphere, the inertial plane that you're plugging in.
I have a response to that point.
Not everyone has that.
Go ahead, Raymond.
I agree that you have the duality between. You have to have the free will concept because of the duality to counteract the destiny aspect of it. But I don't believe that. Right. So in the physical world, it's all destiny. It's all scripted out, unraveling of the script. The free will aspect,
there's a chosen few.
The free will aspect exists only in the non-material world, which is your mind. So in your mind, you think you're doing things as per the free will in your mind. But on the flip side, in the physical reality, is all destiny. So they both exist.
That's why Aries rules the head. Aries, the willpower, rules the head. That's why it's the mind. The cerebrum and the cerebellum, the bottom of the brain and the top of the brain.
Captain's chair.
And that provides the spark of energy
and Daniel,
to get the whole show going.
But not everyone's going to reach that free will point.
Hey,
that's
Daniel.
what the whole prophet or saints or whatever they want to label them. Yeah. Jeremy?
Hey, Daniel, there's a little captain's. Yeah, there's a little captain's chair in there with a little homunculus that sits in the captain's chair.
Could be. Yeah, there could be a
in the
homunculus.
Aries, you said in the head. There's a little captain's chair, a little homunculus that lives in there. That's the one with free will.
There could be, yeah, controlling all the gizmos and gadgets.
I'm going to throw my. I'm going to throw my 2,000 million cents into the pile. So a couple things from a mystical point of view, from the confessions of many mystics, they have suggested there aren't separate wills. The idea of Raymond's will, Daniel's will, and my will. Daniel, hold on a second, because of the interference with the sound. Yeah. If you do the side commentary, it won't come out as well. My brilliance won't shine as much if you do the side commentary. So let me shine. Thank you. So from the mystics' point of view, they challenge this idea of separate wills. Advaita Vedanta, Advaita, for instance, non-dualism. These things challenge from the ultimate highest levels. There's only one will. And so where's free will or not free will there? There's only one. That's just a question. I'm not trying to, it's just an interesting way of looking at it. Number one, the way that I feel about it, and maybe I promote this a little bit because my sun sign is conjunct my rising sign. So I'm a little bit solar biased here.
Oh, yeah.
I believe people, the great philosophical question, free will versus determinism. I believe the answer is quack, paradox, both is true somehow. And meaning we are very click-clack, we are very conditional, very much like what Raymond said, very much on the physical, outer world. It's very click-clack, it's very conditional, way more than we realize. But I also believe we have, and this maybe relates to what you're saying, Daniel, about the solar, because Aries is exalted in the sun sign. In that from the Atman perspective, from the radiant sun perspective of our being, I sometimes like to say, if you ripped off all of my masks, including my body, there my sun would be. And from the solar perspective, there is free will or God will or true creativity. True, like in essence, true creative sparks or inspiration, fire sign. But from the moon side, for instance, the moon side of things is our emotional needs. It's very conditional. I don't think of my moon sign as being super free like my sun sign. So the answer is, I think from most of our soul aspects, Venus, Mercury, it's very conditional, very determined. But there is that one element of the solar Atman principle that has true creativity and free will. So end rant.
Yeah.
Raymond, what do you think of that? Raymond, what do you think of that? You're a Libra sun, or Vedic you're not, but tropical.
That I think what you're saying is correct, but it has to exist, like what Daniel explained, in a duality scenario. So that original how you say free will, that one mind free will concept does not exist in any of us. But it's what created all of us. If you want to balance out what this is, so that we can think about that, so that we can have religions and all, so you need that concept, like what I said before. All of that exists, but not in the material world. In this world, we're computer code. We're avatars. We're not in our body. Everything we do is through our body, and we're not even our body, and everything we do is our body. So we know it's all scripted. We're just
so can I just Daniel, before you go, real quick, before you hold that thought, but relating to what you say, do you believe in the mystic perspective, similar to what you're saying, that who we are is the witness that's not even in the click clack, that's not even in the determined, like I'm in this world but I'm not of it, like Jesus said? Is there that my spirit that is here as a witness but is not actually like doing anything? Does that make sense?
I understand. You broke up a little, but I understood what you were saying. You went out there. Can you hear me?
Are we just the witness that's not in the code, not in the body?
Right, correct.
That's a possibility, yeah, like subjective synthesis.
So that lends to
like Raymond said also.
I'm sorry? Go ahead, guys.
No, I was gonna say, like what
Raymond
said.
Go ahead, Raymond. Respond.
What I was going to say was that your question, it lends to a lot of different theories. No one has the right answer, but my belief, again, I have to go with the whole with the archaics premise, which is that we're inside of technology, and we're in a simulated world. The real human race is highly advanced. Even in this simulation, we became highly advanced before the cataclysms took us out various times. But outside this construct, this is pure technology. We're living out lifetimes here, reincarnated lifetimes. On the outside, it could be just minutes or hours to them. And they're just jacked in, and they want to, and you just learn. This is how you learn on a spiritual level. Or we can just be trying to solve a problem. So we go into this realm where we present ourselves this, how would we solve, without putting ourselves in real danger, how can we solve this problem? So we create a world with that. So that's where I lean towards, the technology. I shy away from the whole religious aspect of it, but I still use it because it shows me the code. But because we're inside of a computer. Inside of a computer is all scripted protocol, unpacking of data. For those software engineers, they know exactly what that means. It's just unpack the data. That's everyday moment to moment. That's what it is.
Okay, so Raymond, there's no free will. Daniel, there's a mixture of free will, and I think there's a mixture of free
Well,
will and
like
determinism.
what Raymond
That's
said.
where we stand. Let's get clear. Go ahead, Daniel.
Well, like what Raymond said, there's the mind and the body. There's the computer, the simulation. That's always going to be Taurus, the body. That's always going to be the script, the Tory, going different levels. And you also remember stories going up and down stories, because your tail tells the tale of your stories. Your 33 fallen angels are 1/3 that fell from heaven. The head, the free will, you fell from heaven into materialization, which is Taurus, right? And like Raymond said, Aries is, well, that the mind that comes from the mind, or the monad. The monad is the one. Aries, there's only one free will, like what Jeremy said. There is one free will, because Aries is the I am. The I am is Aries. Always has been, always will be. The one. And then from the mind of Aries, remember the 33 fell down from heaven. The 33 vertebrae, the 1/3 from heaven, fell into the simulacrum, into the material Taurus fixed energy, fixed earth. This is cardinal fire. It's a bullet. It's the spear of destiny. It's the flaming sword. It's the mind of God. It's the inertial plane down the middle that people tap into their free will. You're tapping into Kundalini, Christ, Krishna, Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, the one. There's only one.
Daniel.
The Jiva Atma and Paramatma.
Daniel, you know what I saw this week? You know the word transcend? You know the word transcend? You know the word transcend, right? I saw it spelled out as trance end. So my question is, are we able to wake up from the trance, the spell within? The mystics say you can die before you die. You can wake up in the simulation and maybe even realize what Raymond is saying, that on the physical level, it's all cooked, baby. But you can, in a spiritual sense, be awake to the simulation, be awake in the simulation. Do you have any opinions on that, you guys? Is there freedom? Within the simulation, at least in spirit, in our hearts, maybe.
So, there is, but you have to wait for the portal to open. In layman's terms, if you follow the archaics, they have to go back to him, and it goes back to the Great Pyramid at Giza, and the construction of the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid is literally the universe in physical form. All the mathematics of the universe created into a perfect structure. That's what the great, in the most central part of all land masses. And the Great Pyramid, there's a prophecy that at a certain time in the future, the capstone will once again be placed atop, because there's one piece missing, the capstone, and that'll complete I forget how many year long prophecy, and then that's when the portal will open for all the freed souls to escape the simulation, while the rest stay, and they undergo another cataclysm.
It's like
and
an exodus, like Moses led.
Yes.
Like, it sounds like the story of Moses leading the slaves out of Pharaoh, of Egypt. Yeah, Exodus.
Yeah. And that's one of the stories that's embedded in the simulation. That's one of the stories, the cataclysms. That's one of the stories. There's only 12 major stories, but they're fractalized. They're
That year, the Exodus year being 2070. Just got to let you guys know.
I remember you saying 2070.
And the final year of the simulation, before we go back to the book of Genesis time, the final year is 2178. So 138 years after 2040, which is the next Phoenix cataclysm.
We got a little time.
So, you want to leave. It's time to go. It's time to go. There's no such thing
Raymond,
as that. You're just going to be in another avatar, in another realm.
Yeah. Well, the NDE testimonials, the near-death experience testimonials, very much resonate with a lot of what you're saying. Waking up from the simulation, but you're like clearly back home. It's almost like you were in a video game and the video game ended and you're just back home on your couch,
Yeah.
This
because
is something that
people
I
that
thought about.
die. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is like a thought that I had yesterday or the day before, about how religion, they scare you, or Christianity scares you into being afraid of God. Why would you be afraid of God? If God created everything, why would you be afraid of it if God created you? You
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
God should be
Because
God
Wires
should be
crossed.
repent to you. If your life is all messed up, that's God. That's not your fault. God made you.
the image of God. Man is in the image of God, right?
God should be
My,
To understand.
trying to get in your
It's
good graces for giving you that life,
the,
for messing
the,
up on
the
you.
message I keep getting from NDE testimonials is, in brief, is heaven is home and God is love. And if they get us inverted and wires crossed about that, then, that's pretty messed up.
yeah, yeah.
I would say that love
Going home,
is just
going home is not a bad thing. Going home is not a bad thing.
well, what I would say about love. I would say that it's just
Hmm.
part of the spectrum. I wouldn't go as far as to say that everyone should be all about love, because when you get that scenario, there's no discipline.
There's got to be balance.
There's no work, and
What
there's
if
no
what if
seriousness.
discipline is love? What if discipline is love? What if work is love?
Love.
What if,
Yeah, tough love.
what if a good UFC fight between two champions is love? What if an alligator eating a deer off a riverbank, snapping it off the riverbank is love? So I think we got to
It is.
broaden our definition
They
of
got to
love.
feed the babies. Yeah.
Is it love to the
But I
deer?
think that goes to your point, Raymond, because you're saying this limited idea of love can actually be a limit,
Of love. Yeah, where people think, oh,
Yeah.
lovey. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's what I meant to say. Right. So you gotta have
Love is the heartbeat.
there's a
And
right
the heart
time for
is hurt.
everything. Is what I say.
Yeah.
There's a right time for everything. There's a time to be ruthless sometimes.
Mm.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
to bring
Time
Speaking
order.
of ruthless, I have an important question I want to ask you, Raymond. Speaking of ruthless, you ready? We got to talk
ahead.
about somebody who's a really important character on this show and will be an important character for the next 20 years. We're not going to stop talking about him. And I have a specific question about him. His name is Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto, I want to know your perspective on Pluto. And I feel like there's a connection. I'm not an expert on this, but I feel like there's a connection between Shiva and Pluto. Can you help me out with that curiosity? Am I onto something?
So Pluto is the destroyer planet. Pluto the destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever Pluto is in the chart, Pluto will cause destruction and transformation of that. I can tell you from experience, because right now Pluto's exactly on top of my natal Mars, my fourth lord, which I'm the Capricorn ascendant in the Vedic. Mars is my fourth lord. Aries is my fourth house. So and I have Mars hovering around the ascendant in Capricorn, while Pluto is there on 5 degrees sidereal with Mars. And Mars is my fourth lord. And just the other day, I had guys come in and fix my wall in the bathroom. I had a leaky pipe that was messing up my wall, and they just fixed it, patched it up, etc. And in the building where I live in, they just painted the hallway. So transformation of my residence. Pluto's on my fourth lord. So there's a exposure transformation. So it got a little ugly, but now it's back. So it looks different now. Fresh paint, a transformation. That's what Pluto does. It'll always transform it. So when people that have natal Pluto conjunct planets, look at the significations of that planet. There's no stability there. I was born with a natal Pluto Mercury conjunction in the 10th house.
Yeah.
I have a Pluto Mercury there. I have
We
Mercury,
all have Pluto conjunct something here.
Mercury 11 degrees, Pluto 12 degrees, Libra in the 10th house for the Capricorn ascendant. And so what I like to talk about all the time is government, exposing the government. That's the 10th house. Mercury in the 10th house, communication. And it's
Fighting
Pluto.
with your bosses, pulling out your bosses,
Oh yeah, cursing out.
flashing ideas with your bosses.
If I didn't have the Pluto there, if Pluto weren't there with Mercury, I would still be talking about the government, but I'll be on that Fox News, CNN talk. I wouldn't be on that conspiratorial side talk, because Pluto exposes the deeper secrets. So because Mercury's in the 10th house, wherever Mercury is, you're communicating about that. That's what you talk about the most. So I'm talking about work and worldly things, 10th house. So
yeah.
and it's Pluto.
And with Pluto on top of your Mars, Raymond, with Pluto on top of your Mars and very close to your ascendant, right?
Yeah.
In Capricorn, Capricorn tropical and Capricorn sidereal.
I'm Aquarius. I'm Aquarius tropical.
You're Aquarius rising, right? No, you're Aquarius second house. Yeah, Capricorn rising.
In the
and Capricorn
sidereal.
Mars.
I'm Aquarius in the tropicals rising.
Okay. All right. So I thought you were you're Aquarius rising. Either way, your Mars is still, Pluto's very close to your rising.
Correct.
Right? Pluto's close to your rising, and Pluto's on top of your Mars. In Capricorn, tropical sidereal, you have Mars in Capricorn. Have you noticed the men in your life, like right now, me and Jeremy, and you taking on a new agenda, a new actions with the sports, right? Very martial, manly sport, baseball, right? So you're taking on also different transformations in your life, either through the men, through the actions you're taking, with sports, with your job, career, many different aspects. Your whole willpower and that force inside you is changing. Pluto is never in your lifetime, as far as we know, Pluto's not going to cross Mars again until, the next, after this year and a half. Pluto is not going to be on top of your Mars ever. You have to wait until it gets like whatever, until over other planets. But this is a very good time to. It's a fertile time. It's a fertile time for you.
So
you have to take the action.
Absolutely. Everything you're saying, I resonate with. And one thing I forgot to mention: little things that you learn in Vedic astrology. Anything that's in Capricorn, any planet in Capricorn, takes a long time to manifest its results. Any planet in Capricorn. So with Pluto in Capricorn, the destruction transformation process is a slow unwinding process. So you're really going to see the government, all the dirty behind the scenes government stuff, because it's Capricorn. So it's a slow, unveiling of all their deeds.
Revealing.
Because it's Capricorn, it's slow. So the destruction is a slow destruction towards the government and its hierarchies. So that's good for the people, I would say. It's for the truthers. Not for the 401k, 9 to 5 guys. I'm talking about the truthers. It's great for us. It makes it easier for us to expose them. With Pluto helping us there. It's not like Jupiter. Beautiful. Jupiter in Capricorn helps the government.
Yeah, the cooperation with Jupiter. Yep.
The law helps the government when Jupiter is in Capricorn. Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. The government is evil. The government is the natural enemy of the people. And
there's going to be something with judges too when North Node goes into Libra. The act of the judicial system, what's fair, what's right. With North Node coming into Libra, I think next month.
South Node.
I'm sorry, South Node coming into Libra. Yeah, South Node. North Node coming into Aries, my 7th house.
You're going to meet a lot of interesting people, Daniel.
I know. I'm looking forward to that too.
The Libra dragon needs to evacuate. And hopefully it evacuates our corrupt judicial system. Hopefully it just, lets it go.
Yeah.
From my research, because I research history, there has never been a time when the government was good. And, I just think that's the natural way of the world. That's just how it is.
Necessary evil.
Yeah.
It's always going to be like that. You just have to find your way around that.
It's exactly. The world is always mad. The world's always gone mad, but we are, people like we're not mad. Most people at home right now, they're not mad. You look in the media and you hear what's going on in the world. It's always madness. It's like I don't want to say demiurge, but it's like that mindset of Where there's a lot of people, there's mob mentality. And that mob mentality is very primal. You get a lot of people and you get two guys beating up someone, and then you have everyone start getting angry, and then people just start beating the same person. It's like you're tapping into this mob madness, and that's dangerous. That's the dangerous part of Pluto and Aquarius. Power to the people and getting the voices heard, like, oh, well, we're going against this corporation. Also Pluto and Aquarius, we're going against this corporation because we don't believe what they are promoting, or this corporation messed with these people, well, we're going to take them down. And now you're going to see corporations plummet. Pluto and Capricorn, because of Pluto and Aquarius, power to the people. We're going back and forth, tropical Pluto, on that point where the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction happened at 0 degrees Aquarius. So Pluto is there right now, where the great conjunction took place a couple of years ago, at that 0 degrees Aquarius point. Some people call it the Star of Bethlehem, Saturn and Jupiter coming together. But this is like, they make a beautiful dance in the sky. Every 20 years, I think it is, Saturn and Jupiter. So for the next 200 years, they're going to be happening in air signs. They were just happening, they're going to happen in air signs, yeah, air signs.
Hey,
They were
Raymond.
happening in air signs for a long time.
Raymond, Daniel just mentioned Pluto and Aquarius, you know, and the anaretic degree, Capricorn, et cetera. But what's your Vedic understanding of what's happening with Pluto and where it's going into? How does the Vedic model help us better understand Pluto's journey next?
Okay, so in Vedic astrology, they don't really go much into the three outer planets, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, unless it's conjunct certain special points or planets. But they don't speak much on it because you cannot see it with the naked eye. So Vedic astrologers only deal with what they can see and measure. But they know that those three bodies exist, and if you talk to an old school Vedic astrologer, you won't like what he has to say about the three. They don't really, they're not interested in that. But the later, the more modern Vedic astrologers utilize it the way tropical astrologers do, but for the sidereal charts.
Not all tropical does use it, though. There are some factions that don't use the three outer planets, like the traditional medieval or some Hellenistics. Anyway.
I can tell you that I use them and it work. I have personal experience with it, and I know they work, so I know it's for real. The energy.
I wouldn't use it if they didn't work. Yeah.
Neptune, I don't have anything conjoined Neptune, so I don't really have experience with Neptune. But Pluto, for sure, I have. I know Pluto. I know Pluto. I can describe Pluto. I know how to handle it. You know, it's powerful. You know, but that's a whole other. So when you look at you have to look at the ascendant Lord and what sign it goes to, and that'll tell me a lot about how you perceive reality. But so I have my ascendant Lord in Scorpio, so I'm always in that world of uncovering hidden information. I'm always involved in that. So Pluto energy doesn't bother me at all. It helps me. But for someone who has the ascendant Lord in the sign of Cancer or something, they like the peaceful environment. They're always in. So a Pluto conjunction transit may not be comfortable for them. You know. So I always look at.
Hey, Raymond.
Yeah.
I got a Vedic question for you. I had heard this really cool Vedic teaching about who a woman should marry based on not the Mars that she's attracted to, the Mars guy. That's like the hookup. But she should look, and so I want your opinion because I think this is valuable for people listening, that a woman, if she's interested in marriage, should look to Jupiter in the man, look to the 9th house. And is that true? And is there anything else that you can tell our listeners as far as advice for women or even men?
You want to know specifically where they should look?
Is that true about women looking to the Jupiter in the man for a good husband, that kind of thing?
Correct.
From a Vedic perspective.
A woman with a good Jupiter in the chart, she'll have good men supporting her, protecting her.
But look to them, like, what does the man have? Where's her Jupiter? Oh, this was the other thing. Let me just interject this, please. The man looks to the woman's moon. because that's like the family feeling of connection. So the man should look to the woman's moon and how that resonates with his chart in a positive way. And the woman should look more towards the man's Jupiter and how that benefits her. So that was the simple understanding I had. Does that resonate from a Vedic perspective?
There's that, everything you said is correct, and there's more to look at as well. The seventh house, the seventh from Venus, another one. The seventh from Moon is another one. How many houses away does the seventh Lord go? How many houses away does it go from the seventh house? That'll tell you how your partner acts. So if it's 5 houses, if you have the seventh Lord in the 11th house, your partner is childish.
So if you're looking for your husband, ladies out there, call Raymon up.
You gotta.
He's gonna hook you up.
It's not what to look for to get what you want. This is what you're gonna get.
Yes, the work.
Based on criteria.
What you need, exactly. It's not what you want. It's because you have to do work. Relationships are work. Anything other than that would be like a hookup or infatuation.
Wait, I thought life was just like a menu. You just order right off the menu. What?
Everything.
Maybe for some people.
Everything is a result of everything that happened in the past. Your past.
Yeah. So all marriages are arranged marriages. How about that?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, I see that's coming from. Sure.
That's correct. Yeah. That's right. And so the timing of marriage is what people want to know. That's what people are asking, and that's not very difficult to see in Vedic astrology. You just look at the time lords. And the sign lords, and once they line up with things that pertain to marriage in the chart, it's pretty easy to see that.
Jeremy, I don't know if you ever done zodiacal releasing. It's also like a storybook, and they have padas or levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. What Raymon was doing with the sports astrology, needing that exact time, that would be level 8. Which changes like every few seconds. That level 8 changes. And there's time lords. I usually, when I do zodiacal releasing for someone, which is rare, but sometimes I have to whip that out. I only go up to level 4 or 5, and you can see where they're at in their story and their life. And it's complex. It is complicated. There's peak periods and low periods, and major things change due to zodiacal releasing. And it's a Time Lord system that's Hellenistic. And then you can also do releasing from certain lots, or parts of fortune, part of spirit, part of eros. And Raymon, I was going to say, what do you think about these, anything square the nodes? I guess we'll talk about natal chart, right? And a natal chart as opposed to any other charts. But in someone's natal chart, like someone that has a planet, Sun, Venus, Mars, anything square the nodes. Does that represent anything when it comes to Vedic astrology?
Any square in the chart presents challenges, but opportunities to grow from those challenges. So depending on the planet that's squaring the node, it could be good or bad. You want to look at the dignity of that planet. If it's a Saturn in high dignity squaring the node, you can control that Rahu. If Saturn's 10th aspect is on your Rahu, that's excellent.
So 10 places from Saturn. If that ruling planet is on Rahu, excellent, is what you're saying.
If Rahu is 10 houses away from your natal Saturn.
Oh, if Rahu is 10 houses away from, okay, got you.
It's square. It's a 4-10 relationship still. That means Saturn.
4-10. Yeah. Which is the parental axis.
Right. So that's excellent. Saturn Rahu associations are excellent in the chart.
Okay.
Because you're energizing the Saturn while calming the Rahu simultaneous. So you get smoother results. And Rahu is what you want anyway. Saturn guarantees. Saturn just makes it hard.
I have an important question for Raymon. I have an important question for Raymon. I too am a Saturn moon, like you. What do you tell people that have Saturn moon conjunctions? Mine's in Taurus, 7th house.
Oh man, Saturn moon conjunction.
On the descendant.
I would have to look at your chart in the sidereal to give you
Yeah.
more details, but just in
Raymond,
general,
Raymond, just think of it like I think it would be for
Yeah.
him. It would be around it would be like 10 degrees or so Aries, 10 degrees of Aries around that 10-degree point of Aries. Saturn Moon on the descendant of Aries.
give me 1 second. I'll actually get it for you.
All right.
You
While he
have
does that,
you have it in Aries 7th house, Saturn Moon conjunction.
Aries
So
7th house. Yeah,
you
but
want me to
Saturn
go?
Moon is close to the
You want me to
descendant
speak
point.
on your chart, Jeremy, or in general?
What was that?
You want me to
in
speak
general
on
is
your
fine. Yeah.
in general? Saturn
In
Moon, because
general is
I
fine.
have
Saturn Moon conjunction.
Saturn Moon conjunction. It's a curse. It's one of the curses that you can have. When the moon is with a malefic, it's considered a curse. So we've done something in a past life that's that we shouldn't have. So we got to deal with it for now. Moon is in general is what sustains you. Is money. The word money is moon. So it's what provides nourishment. So Saturn Moon conjunction people, they had a lack. There's a lack of nourishment from the mother, or you may have had problems eating
Or the
certain
father.
food.
Or the
You may have
father.
had food problems throughout your life, food poisoning problems, money depletion of money problems. Um, you're emotionless. You're stoic by nature. You're stoic. You don't get emotional. People cry during movie scenes. You don't cry. This is not. You're very serious all the time. The mother is serious. Um, Let me ask you a question. Can you crack your bones, like your knuckles? Do you crack your bones easily? Your
Not
knuckles,
really. That's not.
your joints?
No, that's not so much my thing.
But can you?
No, not so much. Oh, can you? Not really. Haven't really tried.
Okay, because Saturn is your ligaments with the connective, and Moon is like adding liquidity. So it's like you have liquid ligaments, so you could crack them. So that's how I am. I crack all the bones. That's the Saturn Moon. But Saturn is my ascendant lord as well, so that could play into it. But Saturn Moon, after the age of 36, life gets better, a lot better, starting at the age of 36 and onward. And that age, that's Saturn maturation age. At that exact age, if you try to remember what happened in your life, you should remember things shifting for you after the age of 36. So especially with the Saturn Moon, is like a pressure relief.
Yeah, there was something kind of around there. Yeah, there's one thing I'd heard about Saturn Moon is that Saturn wants us to grow up, and so it's kind of an impetus for my moon, my inner being, my soul to grow up. It's like time to grow up.
I would also
time
say
to become an adult.
Avoid dairy in your life. Avoid consuming dairy.
Yeah, I do.
Because that's the moon, and Saturn with the moon, you're not going to get the best quality dairy. You're going to have problems. I gave up dairy. It's been one of the best things for me. You don't need dairy. The dairy is for baby mammals. We're adults. We don't need it.
What do you think about a Pluto Moon conjunction? I know a chart I was looking at, and I was curious about Pluto Moon. You guys have any thoughts about a Pluto Moon conjunction?
Pluto Moon conjunction? Yeah, I've given readings to quite a few people with Pluto Moon, Pluto Venus Moon, Pluto Mercury Moon, conjunction Scorpio. Yeah, there's. Talk about family problems. What's up?
Accidents?
Yeah, accidents, abuse, sexual abuse, family problems, feeling like the father or mother's plotting against them, always having some type of transformation at the house that feels like a major change. Like, okay, grandpa died in the basement, or we got to move tomorrow, or something major that they are not going to forget in their life. And there's just so many things. I got to synthesize the whole entire chart to see what house and how's Scorpio doing in that 8th house and all that stuff.
Could that person be a little bit brutal or ruthless or kind of like tough Pluto kind of brutal?
Yes, either them or the people that they date in their life. So sometimes they could be the sweetest person, but they attract abusive people. Or sometimes they can be a narcissist abusing person, and they went through a transformation.
Daniel,
they went to jail for 20 years.
Jeremy, you're
Daniel,
breaking
I'd like
up.
to talk about that. I want to ask Raymond this question. And I'm curious what you think. I'm just going to put it in plain Taurus language here. I believe it doesn't explain everything, but I believe with malignant I believe we're all narcissistic to a degree, but I believe malignant or toxic narcissism is very Pluto area-ish, our lower self, transformation of a toxic part of ourself that's hidden below ground, that's narcissistic. Raymond, do you believe that malignant narcissism or toxic narcissism, that's clinical or whatever, is related to Pluto somehow? What's your opinion on that? Pluto region, not Pluto per se, but Pluto area.
If a person has like a Pluto Sun conjunction, that can lead to that scenario.
It could be Pluto Sun, something to do with Pluto.
Like something that where Pluto's touching something that represents your identity in the chart, like the fifth lord.
Yeah, like a lower
Pluto.
self, like a lower unconscious, malignant, toxic part of our personality being exposed by Pluto and really playing itself out in a very narcissistic way. It feels like Pluto's exposing that in ourselves and others.
And in what way do you think it's doing that?
Well, I believe this would be a good time to share my model, Daniel, that I was sharing with you earlier. Very simple. The three-part one. So this is just a way to, it's nothing inventive. It's just a way of talking about what we're talking about. And that one of the grander purposes of human existence is divine self-realization. You find this in the Eastern religion and stuff like that. Waking up out of the matrix, whatever you want to call it.
Self-actualization, self-realization.
From the false identity to the true identity. You can call it God realization, you can call it self-realization, samadhi. Yeah. You can talk about it a lot of ways, it doesn't matter. Samadhi. And then there's what I call soul self-actualization, which is our soul bucket list. Like if we're writing out, hey, well, I want to be born in my avatar, I want to get married, I want to start a business, I want to learn how to ski, I want to be really good at ping pong, whatever, right? Soul self-actualization, soul bucket list. I want to jump out of a plane, whatever, okay? That's not divine self-realization. That's just kind of a checkoff list of stuff you want to do while you're down here, so to speak, in the simulation. So that's number 2. Number 3 is what we're talking about now, what I call deep soul integration. And it's metabolizing, transmuting, alchemizing, restoring, confronting. There's a confrontation with the lower self. Or sometimes what I like to do is put the S, the snake, in parentheses, the lower elf.
Yeah.
Or the higher elf. Good wolf, bad wolf, right? Whatever, metaphor, system you want to understand. We seem to have a higher self that's more radiant and good-natured, God-natured. And there seems to be a lower self that's afraid, that's in the dark, that Pluto's
animalistic.
I think is like unmetabolized parts of our earlier lifetimes, like soul retrieval. There's parts of us that are trapped in the underworld. And we're here like heroes and champions, retrieving parts of ourselves. So I call that deep soul integration. It's soul retrieval. And you have to confront that part of yourself. And then you have to work with it, hopefully constructively, and integrate it into your overall personality. So I'll just leave you with this. And there's a Star Trek episode with Captain Kirk. They like to point at these psychological, occult kind of things. And Captain Kirk was beamed by the transporter down to a planet. And then he was beamed back onto the Starship Enterprise. But the transporter was broken. And it turned Captain Kirk into 2 Captain Kirks. One was like dark and nefarious, kind of raping and pillaging.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one was like a
good for Gemini
that couldn't make any decisions. And it wasn't until the bad Captain Kirk Elf and the good Captain Kirk Elf fused back into one when they fixed the transporter that we got the hero, the champion, which shows that we need both parts. We need our... So one of my overarching theories is that when the Solar King unifies with the Shadow King, Pluto, it's an unbeatable match. But to get those two to work together is hard because it's like getting Scorpio and Leo to work together. It's square energy. They have kind of different wheelhouses and different agendas. The lower self kind of has a different agenda than our higher self, seemingly. So deep soul integration, Pluto. I'm a Scorpio rising, by the way.
You see, Raymond.
This is something listening to what you were saying, I'm thinking about I'm visualizing the Kundalini energy in the middle of the spine rising. I'm visualizing that.
Exactly.
That in itself is hidden. That's a hidden force in itself. You can't really notice that or see it or people don't understand it. It's hidden. That whole concept is hidden. That whole process of channeling the energy from the spot, from the sacral all the way up.
Yeah, Pluto's directly related to the Kundalini, I believe, the atomic power. Yeah.
And Pluto deals with all hidden things. Pluto's the ruler of Scorpio.
Underworld, hidden,
The ruler of Scorpio. The Kundalini begins in Scorpio. The Kundalini begins at the sacral.
And you see, Jeremy's a Pluto South node. Jeremy's a Pluto South node, as well as a Scorpio rising with the Scorpio Sun on the rising and a Scorpio Neptune at the end of the first house. And he has Gemini in the 8th house. And so Pluto South node and all that Scorpio energy, he has a very strong interest and feeling when it comes to Pluto. And of course, me, I have Pluto-Mars exact conjunction. Strong Scorpio, Saturn Scorpio, I'm Capricorn Saturn, I'm a Libra rising, Saturn exaltation, that second house Scorpio is intense. And you have a strong Scorpio house, tropical, and for Vedic tropical, whatever, you have Pluto Mercury together. So that's also very very badass that we have this connection to Pluto, all three of us. But Jeremy has Pluto South node in Virgo.
Raymond,
Virgo.
have you ever seen the occult?
In Virgo.
Raymond, have you ever seen the occult image, the alchemical occult image of a serpent snake coming up with a lion's head? A lion's head on top of the Kundalini snake, the serpent. You ever seen that one?
Right, I've seen that.
To me, that's like symbolic. I might be wrong, but it's symbolic of an integration between our lion nature, our spirit, and the lower Kundalini power joining forces. And of course, in Buddhist enlightened iconography, there's all these cobras around the Buddha's head. You know,
and remember, the lion.
Like now, the Kundalini has joined forces with the Buddha nature. You know, or the Atman.
Yeah,
they're so opposite in nature, because the lion is out there overtly. You can see it. The snake slithers and hides, while the lion is
in
out
caves,
in the open.
Underground.
You know.
But slaying the serpent, that's the oldest story. Like whether it's King George and the dragon, or whether it's Michael and Lucifer, or Bellerophon and the great Typhon. It's the hero's journey. You have to go and slay your underworld self and rise, sublimate to the top. The heavenly journey. And me and Jeremy were talking about Black Moon Lilith, or Lilith and Adam and Eve. And some of the old iconography, you see Eve coming out of Adam's rib. But Lilith might have been obviously separate from Adam. And who wanted to fuck on top? Who wanted to be on top during sex? Well, Lilith wanted to be, but Adam's like, no, I'm the man. I'm on top. That's why it's Uranus and Gaia. Uranus, or Uranus, is on top, the sky god, Deus Pater. Jupiter, Deus Pater is always on top, and Gaia is always on the bottom. Sexually, but spiritually,
Pluto,
Earth and the womb is on bottom, while man...
Pluto's analogous to Shiva, and Lilith is analogous to Kali. That's my opinion.
Well, Brahma is, of course, the beginning. Krishna and Vishnu are the maintainer, so that would be Neptune. Brahma would be Uranus, and Pluto would be Shiva. So you got beginning Brahma, middle Vishnu, Krishna, all the entities that Vishnu. Krishna is a, what do you call it, an avatar from Vishnu, and then of course Shiva would be Pluto, right? The destroyer, destruction, and the release,
And I don't think they're perfect
the
coordinates.
ending, going
I
back
think
to
there's
the
some
beginning.
overlap. What do you think, Raymond?
It's all the same it's syncretism, so it's all the same. We're just different cultures have different names for it. It's the same concepts. Is
Yeah.
We're just dealing with concepts, but the concept of creation, sustenance, and destruction all exist in relation to each other. But what created that relationship? What gave birth to that? That's what I want to know. That's what no religion can answer. No occult teaching has answers for that. That goes beyond all the occult.
Black Sun.
All they say is it always was.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it always was. And there's a sexual union. There's always the masculine and the feminine. You can say the penis, the vagina, fire, water, fire, earth, air, earth. There's always the masculine and the feminine that come together, like the eclipses have sex, right? And they create those little dog stars or those little crescent moons that you can see everywhere in a picture or on a reflection when the eclipse happens. So it's a sexual act. And Aries being the father, right? Masculine, Mars, sun, beginning. Taurus being the mother, the container, the fixed earth. Double feminine, moon and Venus, right? Moon exaltation, Venus ruler. Gemini would be the child, the children, the son, the daughter. And Gemini, of course, is dual because Gemini looks at mom and dad and says, wow, that's me. I have that masculine and feminine within me. So Gemini is the third sign, but it's Roman numeral 2 because that's really where the concept of duality or being torn, masculine, feminine, breath in, breath out, all those balancing effects. All the air signs deal with relationships and thinking, knowledge, mentality.
agreed.
What was I gonna? I had something else to say.
Hey, Daniel, what do you think we
Yes,
wrap
sir.
things up? What should our listeners expect coming up? What do you think? Is any big wave surfing coming up?
I don't know what to do with the paper. Yeah, there's always something coming up, right, man? So besides the Gemini new moon, I'm hyped about that because of all my third house and my Gemini moon. It's with Neptune. There's a lot of new mental energies, balancing logic, wisdom, intuition. There's also Jupiter sextile Saturn. That's happening. Jupiter sextile Saturn's happening on June 19th. And that's, pretty slow one, so it's going to last a while. You might even feel it now. You're balancing what you're able to think about and what you're able to actually have discipline to create into this realm. So your thoughts can actually be created.
Yeah, I want to ask Raymond to leave us with the same what he thinks is coming up short term, but I want to leave a couple dots real quick before Raymond ends this out. I think the Saturn retrograde in Pisces is really notable right now, and I think I've been anticipating the final South Node in Scorpio and North Node in Taurus. That kind of the final, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be something big at the end of that. I think in the South Node of Scorpio, it's going to be big and unpleasant for a lot of people. I think the axe is going to fall either way. Yeah. I think the fog's going to clear and there's going to be some axe falling that's going to be very truthful and very unpleasant for a lot of people and scary, quite frankly, Scorpio. And hopefully people are on the Taurus side of the street to some degree with a hot drink and some good food and becoming self-sufficient, right? I have Tauruses, I have enough, I'm self-sufficient. And then, so I'm really curious about the final phase of this South Node in Scorpio. Raymond, what do you think the listeners should know about what's coming up?
So based on the sidereal placements, because I don't really check on the tropical side, I was looking earlier, seeing that Saturn is going to go station on the 14th. I believe this is on Wednesday. And from my understanding, it's going to be for a 10-day period, I believe, and then it's going to move retro on the 24th. While Saturn is stationed, as per the Vedic tradition, it's an excellent time based upon where Saturn is in your chart. I'm sorry for the noise. I'll wait. Based on where Saturn is in your chart, transiting, when it goes station, in that area of life, you can accomplish what would take 5 years, you can do in 1 week, or something. Instant results.
Oh wow!
When
Okay.
Saturn,
From the 14th to the 21st.
Saturn,
From the
Saturn,
14th to the 21st.
yes, Saturn, the significator of karma. When it goes station, it's a portal for instant karma, for better or worse. So if you want to accomplish something, look, as it pertains to Saturn's transit in your chart, you have a good opportunity to get a lot done during the time it goes station, from the 14th to the 24th. For me, that's the second house.
Grace period.
Right. And then when it goes retro, then you have to like go back and do something as far as a process, some process. Saturn is a process, a system. Go back and check on the system of yours. But before that, you have instant results time. I didn't know this is a technique that I've recently discovered, and I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I watched that video you sent me, Raymond,
Yeah,
about that.
a respected Vedic astrologer, for decades, he broke it down and explained what it was. You asked about the South Node transit and the North Node transit. Well, I can say that when it goes into Aries, it's already in Aries in the sidereal, but conceptually, Rahu and Aries, a great time to start new things, starting something new. Aries is the fresh cut grass, is the new. Rahu's there stirring things up, so it's like an obsession with starting new things. So it's a great time to start new things, new podcasts, new business, a new workout regimen. Whatever it is, start something new.
And remember, Jeremy, that Pluto is now in Capricorn, and we have the Capricorn full moon, so it's highlighting Saturn, and Pluto is going to be square the nodes. When the nodes hit 0 degrees, Pluto is going to be square that.
On that exact degree point, Mark, those days might be a little chaotic. Like right now.
Yeah. Technically it's square them now, but it's getting, closer as K2 and Rahu move to the 0 degree point of Taurus and Scorpio.
Wait for the exact degree aspect on those days.
I think that's going to happen when they enter Aries and Libra at 29 degrees. Then it's going to be exactly square. And I wrote that down a couple shows ago. That exact square, Pluto square the nodes. I have to check my old notes. But that's going to happen in the cardinal signs beginnings, right? North, it's going to be North Node around 29 degrees. And square Capricorn, Pluto, 29 degrees.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to it.
This has been fascinating. It's nice to see tropical and Vedic ideas being exchanged freely without any antagonism or unnecessary disagreement. I really agree that both systems used with skill and true intuition and insight, I think, can really be used effectively. And I don't agree with a lot of people online that kind of fall on one side or the other. In a way, I think it all depends on the reader, on the person using the tools. And is jazz music can work with rock music, can work with funk. It's just like who are the musicians using? That's what it is. And it's always a combination of intuition as well. And so I really enjoy this conversation. Yeah, Daniel.
And I remember.
Me too.
I remember Raymond moving from tropical to Vedic. If you check out his tropical chart, he has one of those messy Placidus charts. I have to put his in whole sign. I look at whole sign and I also look at tropical because Raymond has like big house 1 and interceptions and duplications. So he has like a very messy Placidus chart, uneven Placidus chart, which is the fine tuning. Placidus is like a fine tuning, but I also have to go back and revert it to whole sign, which is what the Vedics and the sidereal use whole sign method, and a lot of tropical people use whole sign also. So that also helps when I look at Raymond's chart or any chart that is very knocked out of whack because of the ecliptic, the midheaven, the ascendant. Some Placidus charts get really thrown off whack.
Well, if you want to read it from Daniel,
anyway, so that's when Raymond went to
drop down. You'll see a connection to his email as well with me. I do kind of a practical soul astrology approach. And then Raymond here does Vedic, plus a bunch of other stuff. So connect with him. We'll be sure to put his email address in the drop bar if you want him. That's about like this video.
Subscribe, give us your email,
Raymond. We'll be publishing this probably tomorrow. So just want to thank everyone for coming down. We're about an hour and 45 minutes into this, so I'm thinking we'll wrap it up. And anything else you guys want to say before we?
Wow.
Yeah, we'll do it again for
time
sure,
flew. It's been fun. Raymond, first guest on the show. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Raymond's the first guest on the show.
Raymond,
and
number one.
You'll be regular. You'll be regular.
It's a great show.
And onward and upward. We're gonna keep doing it.
It's fun, man. It's fun.
Basically, we've agreed to do a 20-year show following Pluto and Aquarius for 20 years. So we'll see. Maybe in 20 years.
It's based on the whole Pluto Aquarius cycle.
Be our last guest.
2042.
I think what you guys started here is excellent. This is the new thing online, like podcast, talking your opinion and what you know. This is it. This is the best you can do right now, because the mainstream shows are garbage. It's worthless. It's information that we're not even interested in. It's a complete waste of time. And we go over anything we want, and we do our research, and we present what we got. This is awesome.
Yeah, authenticity and being
great.
genuine
Awesome.
rules the day. And there's a lot of disingenuous stuff out there. That's true. So anyways, signing off, saluting you both. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, peace out. Ciao.
Take care, guys. Have a good one. Later, fellas. Take it easy.